Alright, welcome back to the Oasis map. I'm Mab, and this is my gaming channel. So, now that we got all the pleasantries out of the way, this is also the experimental area, whatever, the new update. So, we do have a couple of builds that I did pre-episode, just to get things, shaken up, grooving up, and our beavers something to do, because right now they have nothing to do. So, what we have done is we are going to play this one real quick just so we can get a few beavers jobs. What we did is I started to build a staircase up to here. We're actually going to delete this real quick while I'm thinking about it. Yes. Alright, so we built the staircase up to here. I have a wood collector right here. We are going to clear cut all of this. We also have a farmer thing up here. We left that there the last episode. We are building up here to get some wood. That was also part of the last episode. And then I did come down here to build this so then we could get down over here. What is that? Who decides that? Alright, we're going to kick this down to 1x speed so I can deal with my mouse wanting to be on vacation as well. So, we have this built. We're going to build this just to kind of give a little bit of extra water in here just for the time being. It makes sense to me to have that, just so that that doesn't happen right there. Obviously it's going to flow down. We are going to work on getting power, which is these bad boys. We aren't quite there yet, and obviously a lot of that takes time, but we're just trying to get our food set up so that we have food available to us. Start getting into like maybe better food resources that are going to last us a little bit longer as far as everything else is concerned, because we don't really want our beavers to starve, and getting better food sources than this one, because this is a 3-day, we get 2. Not necessarily a bad setup, but I would like to get to the corn, because the corn 10 days we get 2. We come over here to the food process. That's not the one, that's not the one, this is the one. Obviously it takes a little bit of metal, but 1 corn, a very small portion of a log, and then we get 5. So you can see how that would be beneficial for our outcome, and so I do want to get that kind of going so we have those resources available to us. We also enacted our new steam powered whatchamacallit, so we are enjoying those at this current point in time. I will bump that up to 2 just so we have that guy available. Let me pause you because that's not necessarily a big priority of mine, but getting planks kind of is. Let's go over to well-being and actually get a medical bed. It makes the most sense to kind of fill some blank space that we have. I'm gonna actually put this at at the highest priority. We will boost these up to, I want to get this going. I'd prefer to get this going over the other stuff. Oh, we have that guy. Alright, so let's get our food. I figured out my buttons correctly. Let's I kind of want to be strategic about this just a little bit, and let's get some of this going. We'll make it about that long, and that gives us the room just in case we want to add some other buildings up here, or maybe change this one out, make it a little bit different, all that kind of stuff. It gives us the ability to kind of do that. I don't think this guy can actually reach over here, so we would probably want to play him. And we can pause that guy. Hopefully this guy moves in over here. Let's slightly elevate that guy. And we have great news. So we have a new high score of 3. Or well-being of 5, even though this still says 3. The thing went kaboomy, and I want to say somewhere over here. I think it was this one. So now we have, or was it over here? I think it was that one actually. So for the time being, we are saved on this one. We do need to, what is, that is very interesting. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but we have stars underneath of us. All right, well, getting back on task here. It's more about growing, getting this kind of set up. How many babies we got? We got 6 coming up. Let's look at this to see. Oops, that's not what I want. Oh, hold on. Let's get the right button. All right, let's come down here. Okay, we have 2 about to join the workforce, which is great. That'll knock that down. And then we have other beavers that, one, getting down here and getting this metal going will be super helpful to us, because then once we get down here we can get metal, and then we can talk about getting a metal. We actually need to unlock all this, and we do not have the resources for that. So we need metal, and we need this one, so we need about 500 metal, or 500 science points to kind of get that going, just so we are able to, one, produce it, make it, and all that jazz. And then at that point we will be in a better place. Where do I want to put this? I want to put something close to here. Let's go storage for right now. We will talk about moving this in a moment, but I want to get this up here so, one, we can actually start collecting corn. Yeah, we need that like that, and then we'll make this all look a bunch of weird, different kind of mess up. But yeah, I do want this eventually to be a engine. That would be the best idea. Less beavers having to work on this and keeping that movement, because eventually at the end of the day they do go away, and when that happens, problems do arise. Blueberries, we are doing fantastic on those. That is fully stocked. I do want to make another one, and it would probably be in somewhat of the best interest to put that sucker right here. Eventually, like I said, I'll get my buttons down, and then we will have a better outcome as far as that is concerned, because right now I keep forgetting that we can duplicate things. I do want to duplicate it. I just, like I said, I keep forgetting. I have other stuff on the mind. Aquifer, underground source of water. Ground only must be built on the ground depths. Oh. So I'm assuming we put this. Okay, so we'd build that. We'd build an aquifer here, and it'd drill down, and then we would be able to, I'm assuming, at that point in time, be able to, I think that's what this is. That makes sense. So we could build that, build a platform over here, put an engine on it, and then this spot would become green and lustrous and full of life, kind of like over here. So those are going to be actually neat little things that we can kind of search for and see what we can do about. How's the food going? 400, and it's mainly our blueberries that's kind of keeping us afloat. Let me make sure on this one we do need, yes, we do need metal. So metal is going to be something important that we are actively kind of trying to seek out. Haven't got the, I know, it wasn't meant to unlock. What if we came over here and did just a small thing of kasabis, and then yeah, we could put in a fermenter like that, and that fits in perfectly. And then recipe fermented cassavas, and then we can go storage this little baby one, and then cassavas and fermented cassavas. Yeah, that'll work. And we'll duplicate this one, and we'll make that cassavas. And see, now this makes it nice and watery, and we're able to kind of have this area be green. And then it'll flow down here, off the map, and then into the bad sludge. So eventually we can get down over here, build another one, and then that'll just kind of allow us to keep this water a-flowing, looking good, and all of that nature. And we can actually pause you, because at this current point in time, I don't need another guy working here, especially when I'd like to get these going, this built, this kind of stored up to where we have the fluids and everything that we need in them, so that we can then move stuff down here and we'll have that going. That's the general idea. And yes, I know I have a buttload of trees, and there is a reason for that. Let's kick that to 1x speed. It is a small drought, but I do want to see what exactly transpires here. And then I also want to see if when we do this, if water actually gets, because this would be a game changer. Supply 230. So does that turn off during a drought? Because it doesn't look like it's actually pumping, which means we could actually pause that. Actually, we need to play that. We got 6 beavers that need jobs, and I can't think of a better place to put a bunch of them than right here. Oops, that's not the right one. I want this one. Yep. Okay, so we got 2 in there. We're starting to make planks. That's fantastic. I want to come over to power. Might as well build that there, because I mean, I don't know what else we're going to build there, and we might as well get that going. And then I would like to make this up here like kind of like our food area. I know I put this one over here, but we can delete that, put that over here, get that going, and not have to worry about that. But this can then be like where we go to make food. I'm assuming when we're in a drought this stops, so to keep this fully green, that would be somewhat important. And it doesn't look like it overfills, because this water doesn't go anywhere, and we aren't, yeah. What other jobs can we make that we would need. Farmers being a big one. We do have this guy collecting a buttload of blueberries, which is nice. We got the 250, so let's unlock this. We'll start with him. Once we kind of get the metal going, need a place to put it first. Storage, we're going to make a small. We're going to do this, duplicate, I want that, then let's duplicate this 3 times. That should give us enough to actually fill this up. Construction site, let's get that going. I want this built so then we can start tearing this down, and then once this is starting to tear down, then at that point we can get more of these construction sites going and put them at like kind of a lower pace, so we're not necessarily in a problem state. Which one of you is most? Alright. Let's get all these getting cut down, looking pretty. We shouldn't have any problems with that. How's the food looking? Food's looking alright. We do need to get... You're able to get all of that. You're able to get all of that. Alright, sweet. Fantastic. We're starting to collect the cassavas, which is excellent news. Corn's starting to come in, which then we can collect that. Not necessarily a big problem on the corn. I would really prefer you guys to work on the cassavas. Let's actually add another farmer, and then you guys can work on the corn. They'll help each other out, but you get the gist of it. Like, I'm basically trying to foolproof all these areas. We have this massive area over here, which we are 100% devoted to on the Karabi side, which is kind of useful and needed. Water seems to be doing all right. That's not what I wanted. I want this. Oops, wrong button. Alright, so my idea, I did this in my live stream, and this seems to play out pretty well. Especially when we hit like droughts and whatnot, is putting these at like a way weaker whatchamacallit. So we'll put these at those, and then so like when water or whatever we're not pumping, then they go into the science. When they're not doing science, then at that point, then we're making obviously a buttload of money, which is kind of the point. Let's turn that into 1x speed. Let's rotate that, get that going. We're at the point where another house would definitely be beneficial. All right. And then once all this gets filled up, what I'm going to do is we're going to think about just having one pumper. One pumper should be able... more than enough to be able to kind of get that going. But we also have to keep in mind that these are part of the 6 jobs that aren't being filled at this current point in time, so there's that. Kick that into 3x speed. You are now beautifully collecting water. You're doing corn. Once this gets filled up, why is that not getting filled up? Are we filling this one up? No, we are not filling Jack up. Why are we not filling Jack up? Alright, we're filling up the farmhouse first, apparently. Problems. Storage. Let's come up here and actually use our new move. And we'll put water up there, so when these get full, we'll transport water up here. That'll be useful. That'll also be very helpful. Let's get a... Oh, we have no chance of getting that. Oh, that's not even what I want. I wanted a hauler post. Yes, I do want one of those. Alright, everything's looking fantastic. No problems on the horizon. Battle water source. Alright, so we do have this one incoming. I think we're okay because they'll flow into here, down this ravine, and out that way. Even if it does flow in here, we still have, I feel like we have protection. I mean, I could be wrong in that department, but the fact that this is kind of seated the way it is, I think we're okay. And pause that. Now, I want to delete this road and copy this. Which one was that? That's just cassavas. That's fermented. And then we can destroy all this because I don't need it over here anymore. No point in keeping that. So let's... There we go, get that going. Alright. I also think it might be in our best interest to then yeah, we'll just do it this way. It makes sense. And then when we go in there with bigger stuff, then we'll fix it. And then we'll make it a little bit neater and all that fun jazz. We have 12 open jobs right now. Good lord. Oh, because we built this. Alright, we don't need... 2's fine. 2 is fine. Alright, prioritize hauler, obtain. And then prioritize hauler, obtain. That's just so we get water. How are we doing on metal? Not bad. We can probably future-proof and add a... Yeah, we'll add one more. Actually, we'll add 2 more. What do we need? We need well-being. I think because of placement, this would be perfect. Why? Oh, that's why. Cut that down. Bam, we are about to go into overdrive with a buttload of logs. I like it a lot. Alright, then how many of these? Okay, so we're almost at the point of How are we doing? We got 10 jobs. Not necessarily ideal, but I don't need you there. That I can pause. I'm not. Savas we're working on. Obtain, prioritize hauler. You can ship out, prioritize by hauler. Just so that we can get that going. Like I said, I want this to be full of cassavas so then we can ship that over here. That'll be powered. We'll make that. Food will be a little bit better. I don't know why we don't have better quality of food. Oh, you have chipped teeth. Alright. That makes sense. Didn't I put a chip tooth or thing over here? No, I didn't. Well-being. Grindstone. Build that sucker up so that we can actually get beavers to grind their teeth, get those sharpened, get those looking pretty so we can be more effective. Alright, you're almost full, which I believe is going to take place any second now. Put that there. How are we doing over here? That is pretty much full. That is nowhere near full. We have to make... We have to make this a priority. And that's just to get the hopes of food getting up, because right now we're at 34. This is a sad number to have. I didn't feel like 4 beavers would have this big of a problem working that, but shoot, I have never been more wrong in my life. Like, that's almost upsetting, if I'm being perfectly honest. And maybe it's because we don't have any extra food going. But one can hope, right? Alright, we have one open bed. We're about to have a problem with that. I can actually pause 2 of you, send into the workforce somewhere else, because we can pretty much handle what little water is being used right now. We have 2 in there. We have no science being drawn. It's all these farmers that we got going on. Let's pause 2 of you, and then we'll pause... Actually, we'll pause 2 of you, and then I'll play 1 of you. And then I just bumped that up so that then we'd have someone in here, because we need to be making science, and right now we're not making jack. So, and the fact that we're not building, I don't need 2 of you going in there. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Where are we at? Alright, so, like I said, we should be fine with this shelf. I am kind of worried if I'm not being totally unhonest. I do have my doubts. Alright, so we're growing extra cassava. How far can we reach? That is excellent. I love that for us. And we might as well do the whole thing in. Because if you guys cannot reach. Why can you reach further? Oh, because of the path. That makes sense. Alright, well, we'll deal with that. Let's see. We are maxed out on those. So, in sanctity of preservation, and then let's come over here. 120. It's somewhat needed. We'll pat that out just like that for now, but it won't stay there. This is more just so I can protect myself just in case I'm needing to in the future, because that's important to keep that on the low. Alright, we're able to deal with the workforce and that. How are you doing? You are full. You are almost full. I guess at this point we can play. And you can go to obtain. We'll put that to hauler. Put a storage unit over here. Where is it? Obtain. So now that we're going to be making that, everybody should be happy, relatively speaking. We have more than enough fields to get that going. What's the burnout rate on that? All right, so we send in 4 and we get 10. All right, I mean, that's not a bad ratio. Like I said, my thing is we need 300 for this. Alright, we're going to work on the 300, get that going, get that place down somewhere over here. We're going to put up walls just for the slight inconvenience that we are in that need. But for right now, we're going to let it roll. I think that's going to cover it for today. I'm working on a new system of a little bit shorter videos to keep it nice, short, sweet, to the point. Let me know if you like the old style or the new style. Put that down in the comments. I do appreciate it. While you're there, think about hitting that thumbs up button and think about hitting that little subscribe button. And it will let you know when I post other videos, and you might enjoy them, you might not. We'll only know if you hit the subscribe button. So until then, I will catch you later.